Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how you can avoid sinking in Sea of Thieves, the easiest ways to prioritize what you're doing on your ship while in battle, how to stop people boarding you, just anything which is going to help you keep your ship afloat. Now, before I get any further into the video, I just want to let you know that this channel might be undergoing some changes in the future. Sea of Thieves, as you guys may know, is just a little bit boring for me at the moment. I'm trying to get a group together so I can kind of enjoy the game more and see it more as a leisurely activity than a job. I'm also searching for a part-time job in the real life to try and bring the fun back of content creation. So yeah, the channel may undergo some changes in the future. Anyway, I would also like to say that I have a horror channel. I'm not trying to push it too much, but if you're interested in horror stories, true horror stories, scary stories, it's coming up about that time of year anyway, around Halloween, then the link to that will be in the description, where you can kind of watch me or listen to me telling stories. I've had some pretty positive feedback so far, so yeah, check that out. Now let's get into the video. So the first tip I'm gonna have is a pretty simple one. It's one that you could probably guess, but it's just keeping an eye on your water level, right? As well as learning how fast your ship actually fills up, how quick how different the tiers are. So the difference between a tier 3 and a tier 1 hull, the difference between how long it takes water to fill up. This comes with experience, but you genuinely can just go and test it for yourself by putting a hole in your own boat and watching and kind of just counting. So a good tip is, if you take a hole while you're in battle, you do not need to immediately abandon your wheel, go down deck, or get off your cannon and go down and repair, bucket, whatever, because you're gonna have about 2 minutes before that even rises above your stairs towards your map level. If we're on a sloop, this is talking about a sloop, you don't need to instantly head down and repair that. That's not your biggest priority. If you take a hole, your biggest priority is making sure no one gets on your boat. That is always your number one priority, making sure no one is boarding your boat and trying to kill you. It's going to be a lot harder to repair a hole if there's someone on your boat messing with you, blunderbombing you off the boat, shooting you, making you heal, all that stuff. Or even if they kill you, now you have a hole on your boat, someone on your boat, and you're dead. So you're filling up, you're going to potentially get spawn camped, and then it's just over, it's wraps, you're going to sink. So the number one thing is to make sure no one's getting on your boat as soon as you take a hole. The typical thing that people do is, if they hit you and they get 1 or 2 cannonballs on you, they'll shoot someone out, they'll board you, try and kill you, and just guard the hole, right? If that happens, you sink. So that's tip number 1. Make sure that no one boards your boat, and if you take a hole, you do not need to go down deck and instantly repair. Now, to continue where I actually started, the water fill up time, you're gonna usually, if you have a tier 2 or tier 1 hull, it's gonna take you about 2 minutes for you to get anywhere near sinking on a sloop. So that's something to kind of have in mind. It gives you time. If you take a hole, you can send your ship sailing, jump off, go and board, kill someone, anchor them, then jump off and run back to your boat, and you should be fine. So it's just something useful to know. If you don't have that knowledge, you're going to potentially always be worried about, oh, is my ship sinking? Is my boat full of water? Whereas if you have that knowledge, you can, focus on the task at hand. If you're trying to board someone or spawn camp someone, if they have more holes than you, then you can probably spawn camp them until they sink and then get back to your boat and you'll be fine. Just having that knowledge reduces a lot of anxiety. So that was the second tip, just learning how fast water fills in your boat, depending on the tier of hull, where the hole is, if it's a mid-deck, bottom deck, all that kind of stuff. Obviously the time varies ship to ship. Now, this is more of a ship-to-ship PvP kind of tip while fighting. So you want to try and stay away from the edges of the boat, because on a sloop especially, if a ball hits anywhere near you, you're going to get sent flying off. So you're going to want to try and stay away from the edges of the boat as much as you can, because if that hits you, you you get hit off your ship, they've got a hole in you, and as I said earlier, now they've boarded you, they've anchored you, you're going to have to try and get back on your boat, and essentially you're just respawning. It's the same as dying and respawning, getting hit off your boat. So make sure to stay away from the edges of your boat. If you see a blunderbomb coming towards your boat, try and get under deck as quick as you can, or grab onto a ladder or something. I don't know if that actually works. I've tried it a couple times and it has, but it could just, you know, be a RNG. So stay away from the edges of your boat, try your best not to get knocked off, and yeah, if you see a ball coming towards you, get the hell out of the way. You don't want to get one-balled, especially on a sloop. People are getting better nowadays. Shooting someone on the cannon with a cannonball is getting easier nowadays. If you're you know, doing rings around each other, it's going to be super easy to get one-balled. So try not to get one-balled. Try and break the cycle of watching the ball come at you. I know it's quite an easy thing to do. I still do it rarely to this day, but I still do it sometimes, where I will see a ball coming at me and just look at it and just watch it come at me and hit me square in the forehead. Boom, dead. So try and break the cycle of watching a ball come at you and try to actually take the initiative to move out the way and not get one-balled. Yes, you may still get backtracked or take a bit of damage, but you won't die, and that can be the difference between sinking and surviving.
Fuck you.
So for tip number 3, that was simply just stay away from the edge of the boat and don't stare at cannonballs coming at your face. Now for tip number 4, there's a pretty simple tip, and it's just going to be guarding ladders / listening for boards. As I mentioned earlier, even if you have 1 hole, 2 holes, you're not going to be sinking just yet. Listen to the audio cues, listen to see if your ship is making a creaking noise, or there are different noises for different ships and how much water is in the boat. But listen to these audio cues and learn when you're going to need to go down a bucket. In the meantime, if you're not having any of these audio cues and you know you're okay, sit up top and watch the ladders if you have holes. Obviously, you're not just going to have holes and sit there watching the ladders all the time. It's very situational. But guarding ladders and listening for boards is the absolute best thing you can do to not sink. As I mentioned earlier, if someone gets on board and they kill you, then it's basically over. They're going to anchor you, they're going to spam cannonballs into you, and if you're not that great at PvP, you're likely going to get killed off of spawn and then just sink and lose all your stuff. So the tip is just guard ladders and listen for boards. Guarding ladders with swords isn't the worst idea because it's probably the least amount of hit reg prone weapon, if that makes sense. There's a really common hit reg issue where if you blunder someone as they're climbing up the ladder mid-animation, they won't take damage or any knockback, and you'll get a hit but nothing will happen. So the sword knocks people off of the ladders as well if you manage to get a hit, so using the sword isn't such a bad idea. But yes, so guarding the ladders, making sure no one gets on board of your boat is essentially, I would say, is one of the most important tips to not sinking. Now, the last tip is going to be a bit more nothing to do with what you can do, but it's more using the current ship that you're on to reset. So a common misconception in PvP will be, oh, if the ship's going away from you, they're running from the PvP. Oh, they don't want a PvP, they're trash. You know, I don't want to fight. They don't want to fight me, you know. But that's just completely incorrect. What they might be doing is resetting. If you've taken a lot of holes, you've been in their broadside for a couple seconds and you've been unable to get any hits or get a board off and an anchor, whatever, you're just going to want to run away and reset. Now, a sloop. If you're running away on a sloop to go and reset, then you're going to want to run into the wind. Put your sails into the wind because you're the fastest ship while against the wind. Go into the wind, put your sails front in a dummy position, and you'll be able to just run away, repair, bucket, all of that good stuff, and then be able to, you know, turn around and go and fight and essentially just reset the fight, right? Resetting is probably the most important thing you can do in any fight, as well as guarding ladders, because if you're just in a fight and you're constantly taking holes and holes and holes and you don't even get a break to repair or bucket or anything like that, then you're going to be in a constant state of like anxiety. Am I filling up? Are they boarding? Do I need to put shots in them? You're going to end up being all over the place, and eventually you're just going to end up sinking because you're all over the place. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because the brig is like the middle ship. Essentially, if you're fighting a sloop and you've been put into a really bad position and you need to reset, then you just get the wind, go full straight with the wind, sails front, as much wind as you can get, and just sail off into the horizon. You'll probably end up playing fucking No Man's Sky because of how fast you go. You'll just switch games, right? Go into the wind, repair, bucket, whatever you need to do, repair your masts, and then reset. That's what you do against a sloop. Against a galleon, it's probably pretty simple. You just go against the wind like you do as the sloop. Yeah, you just go against the wind so they can't catch up. They're the slowest against the wind, repair, bucket, etc., etc. The only real issue with this is if you're against a fellow brigantine. If you're, side by side and you're kind of struggling, then going against the wind is going to be pretty difficult because, you're going the same speed. So essentially what you're going to want to do in a brig versus brig situation is just this is highly unrecommended 90% of the time, but what you can do is, if you're running side by side, do an anchor turn, do a straight 180 anchor turn, raise your sail, or raise your anchor, and then get going in a straight line. Going against the wind, going in the wind, getting side wind, whatever, you're going to be the exact same speed no matter what, because you are the same ship. Just keep an eye on where your sails should be positioned. That's essentially how you reset against a brig. Just go the opposite direction to where they're going in the fastest amount of time possible. Now, just before I finish this video, I'm going to give you one more little bonus tip, and that's essentially prioritize bucketing over repairing. The amount of times I go onto someone's ship and I see a new player or even a semi-average player just submerged underwater repairing a hole, thinking, oh, it doesn't matter that my boat's filling up. If I repair this one hole, it'll slow down the filling up. No, you cannot repair a hole if your ship is submerged underwater. You've sunk. There's no point repairing a hole if you've sunk or if you're going to sink. Always, always, always prioritize bucketing. However, that about wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you want to see something else similar to this, let me know in the comments. I've actually really enjoyed making this video. As I've said many times in the past, I love creating content on this game, but playing it itself is a little bit hard for me to do. So yeah, let me know what else you want to see in the future. I know you want guides. You guys keep saying, give us more guides. What do you want a guide on? Tell me, what do you need a guide on? What commendations are you struggling with? What are you struggling to do in game? I will try my best to make a video on it. Anyway, make sure to subscribe if you are new, leave a like, comment down below what your favorite tip was, or what tip you didn't know and what was the most useful for you. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Have fun sailing and not sinking. Go and steal all those 4 of the dams. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. GG.